This is the most known cryptocurrency in the world, Bitcoin. In this graph, you will be able to see the price of Bitcoin for the past 5 years. As you will see, when the pandemic hit, Bitcoin was worth around $6,000. But just a few months later, Bitcoin reached over $60,000. And then just like 3 or 4 months later, it went down to like $30,000. But then, just another few months later, it went back up, reaching over $68,000. When Bitcoin reached these levels, the new rich were seen flaunting their wealth.
In the wake of this party in the cryptocurrency market, demand for luxury cars skyrocketed. The demand for Rolex watches was also being talked about in the cryptocurrencies in the news. For the first time in history, we saw young people become overnight millionaires. But all this partying had to come to an end. Entering the year 2022, the price of Bitcoin slowly plummeted to around $16,000, a drop of more than 75%.
This period was known as the crypto winter.
Many people lost money, and cryptocurrencies were no longer in the news. Many experts made fun, saying that they knew cryptocurrencies would crash and were nothing more than a bubble. Moreover, some even said that the value of cryptocurrencies would go to zero. As cryptocurrencies fell, many scams were also revealed,
such as the FTX platform and Sam Bankman-Fried, one of the biggest scams in crypto.
But it seems that everything is changing, and the cryptocurrency market seems to be making a comeback. Since the beginning of 2023, the price of Bitcoin has risen more than 300%.
If you would have bought $10,000 worth of Bitcoin, today it would be worth over $30,000.
No hedge fund on Wall Street could give you such a brutal return. But this is where the big question comes in. Why are cryptocurrencies rising? Well, to answer that question, we will have to start by talking about something very important, the stable coins.
In the crypto world, stable coins are digital coins or digital money, which is backed up normally by a fiat currency or some kind of assets. The value of a stable coin, in theory, can be backed by something in the real world with value. The most well-known stable coin at the time is Tether, with the symbol USDT.
One USDT, in theory, is backed by $1. You can buy a USDT and it should follow the value of $1.
Now, let's stop talking about stablecoins and let's talk about Bitcoin. As you might know, the only factors that determine the price of cryptocurrencies are supply and demand. If there is a lot of demand but little supply, then the prices go up. But if there is a lot of supply and little demand, then the prices go down. Now, a good way to know if there is demand for a cryptocurrency, or in this case Bitcoin, is looking at the use of USDT, which is the most used stablecoin to buy cryptocurrencies.
As you will see, after the pandemic, the demand for USDT skyrocketed, which is highly correlated with the demand for Bitcoins. Then, in late 2022 and early 2023, demand for USDT fell, which is highly correlated with the fall in Bitcoin. And now, in early 2024, as you will see, the demand for USDT is reaching new records, which is pushing the price of Bitcoin to new all-time heights.
So this correlation between Bitcoin and stablecoins is quite important, especially with USDT. But this is just a correlation, and it doesn't tell us why the demand for Bitcoin has increased or why Bitcoin's price has gone up so much. If we want to know this, we need to understand who are the buyers of Bitcoin.
Well, here we have all different groups, institutional investors and retail investors. Institutional investors are large, and professional investors such as banks, Wall Street investment funds, famous hedge funds, governments, and also pension funds. While the retail investors are us, small investors. Well, in the past, Bitcoin price moves have been triggered by institutional investors. As the price starts to go up and up drastically, then retail investors start to come in and just add fuel to this rise. But as the peaks are reached, institutional investors start selling, which lowers demand dramatically until the price starts to plummet. And that's exactly what's happening now. Institutional investors like BlackRock started buying Bitcoin and triggered this spike. But again, this still doesn't explain why there is so much demand for Bitcoin. And to explain the demand, we will have to talk about Bitcoin ETFs.
ETFs are normally funds that invest in a set of stocks in the stock exchange, just like the S&P 500, which is the 500 largest companies in the US. But for the first time in history, the US Stock Exchange Regulator, the Securities and Exchange Commission, on January 16th of 2024, approved the first Bitcoin ETF, the first spot Bitcoin ETF. Now, this is a landmark in history because for the first time, any investor, and I'm talking big investors, can invest in Bitcoin in a safe way directly on the exchange, on the stock exchange. And guess who are the people behind all these Bitcoin ETFs? That's right, none other than the largest companies in finance, BlackRock and Fidelity. And every time somebody buys their ETF, they buy the equivalent in Bitcoin. And so now that Bitcoin is in the form of an ETF, the demand for Bitcoin has skyrocketed.
Just to give you an idea, in just 1 week, more than $2.4 billion has flowed into Bitcoin ETFs. This is a brutal figure. In just 32 business days since these ETFs were launched, more than $19 billion worth of Bitcoins have been bought.
Now, this is a figure that has never been seen in the history of ETFs. And the reason why so much money is pouring in is because buying an ETF is so much easier than buying Bitcoin directly from a Bitcoin or cryptocurrency exchange. Now, big investors, like I'm talking in the millions of dollars or billions of dollars, can buy this ETF and therefore add Bitcoin to their own portfolio.
That is what is happening. Many investors are investing in Bitcoin to diversify their portfolios. What's more, here in this chart, you will see how investors sell gold ETFs and buy Bitcoin ETFs. That means they are replacing gold in their portfolios with Bitcoin.
But this news of the Bitcoin ETF, it's still fresh, and I have a feeling that the markets haven't still digested it. Once that happens, I believe that real money is going to start to pour in. And that also brings me to my last point and my last reason why Bitcoin has been increasing in price, and that is the central bank. The reason was because the Federal Reserve kept printing money like crazy, devaluing the dollar. This took away from its purchasing power, which is not the case with Bitcoin. Unlike money, Bitcoin has a limited number of Bitcoins in existence and it cannot be adulterated. So the Fed kept interest rates low until mid-2022 when they have to pivot and start increasing them because of high inflation and of course because of the war in Ukraine. At the same time, Bitcoin price was plummeting.
But now, the Federal Reserve is announcing they will start lowering interest rates. This again resurfaces the argument for buying cryptocurrencies since they are limited in amount, i.e. their supply is limited while dollars can be printed.
And that brings me to my last point, my actual last point and reason of why Bitcoin's demand has increased. And that is the halving. The halving is an event that happens every 4 years. And I'm not going to go into details on how Bitcoin mining works, but in short, it cuts the supply of new created Bitcoin in half, hence the halving. Now, this event has the potential to increase the price of Bitcoin if the demand just remains the same. You know, less supply, equal demand equals price increase. And so that's one of the reasons, probably one of the biggest reasons why I believe that Bitcoin's price is going to continue to go up. Now, the next halving is scheduled for April of this year, 2024. But the effects of the halving normally take effect in the next 4 or 5 months after the halving. And so I can imagine that the price of Bitcoin will continue to fluctuate in the higher ranges until it continues to go up. And then eventually, as always, it's gonna go down. And now this is the end of the video. I think these are the reasons, the most sound reasons of why Bitcoin's demand has increased and hence the price. If you agreed to this video, or if you have any other opinion or reasons why Bitcoin has gone up, please put them in the comment down below. Also, please do me a favor, subscribe to the channel and hit the like button for the YouTube algorithm. This is Hector and I hope you liked the video. See you next time. Bye.